She was the face of the 90s. Vogue once called her the most beautiful woman in the world. Linda Evangelista didn't just wear fashion, she became fashion. She didn't simply model clothes, she helped define what it meant to be a supermodel. When she first cut her hair short and flew to Milan for Fashion Week, everything changed. At first, it wasn't the change she hoped for. She had been booked for nearly 20 shows, but as soon as the designers saw her new haircut, 15 of them cancelled. They couldn't understand it. The sharp, boyish look was shocking in a world still obsessed with long, flowing hair. But just one season later, that same haircut became the trend everyone wanted. That was the Linda effect. She didn't just follow fashion, she led it. From the glamorous runways of Versace to the legendary Freedom music video, Linda Evangelista was everywhere. Her face, her poise, her energy, she represented an era of beauty and power. And then, suddenly, she was gone. So what really happened to Linda Evangelista? Why did she disappear at the very height of her fame? And how did one that seemed small at first change her life, and even her face, forever? Before the silence and the surgeries, Linda was at the heart of a fashion revolution. Alongside Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Christy Turlington, and Claudia Schiffer, she was part of an unstoppable wave that transformed modeling into global fame. She wasn't just in the spotlight, she was the spotlight. But unlike many of her peers, Linda wasn't discovered by accident. She didn't stumble into modeling by being in the right place at the right time. She chased it. "I really wanted to wear fashion," she once said. "I wanted to model because I was obsessed with clothing. I just loved it, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't discovered in a mall." From childhood, Linda was drawn to glamour. She would sneak into her aunt's room to play with makeup, collect costume jewelry, and cover her bedroom walls with pages torn from Vogue. While other kids dreamed about pop stars or athletes, Linda dreamed about photo shoots, runways, and the world of style. Her path, however, wasn't easy. She started with small bridal catalog shoots in Canada, earning just $8 an hour. She saved every cent to build her modeling portfolio. When she finally made it to Europe, she found herself surrounded by taller, more conventionally beautiful girls. Most of the big jobs went to them, not her. But Linda refused to give up. "It took me a few years to get going," she said. "I worked every day, but I didn't do genius things right from the beginning. I went through a lot to get where I am and I appreciate it." She wasn't an overnight success, she was the opposite. She worked, struggled, waited, and fought until the world noticed her. And once Vogue booked her, everything changed. Suddenly, Linda was in. Still, her real turning point came through her collaboration with photographer Steven Meisel. Together, they became creative partners, even artistic soulmates. They built images so striking and emotional that they came to define an entire generation of fashion photography. "It's easy to work once with a photographer," Linda said. "Everyone's curious the first time. But to get rebooked over and over, that takes a lot. They have to love you." Together, Linda and Meisel developed a visual language of their own, elegant, polished, and transformative. As the fashion world evolved from simple minimalism into bold glamour, Linda evolved right alongside it. Then came the moment that changed everything. She wasn't just known among designers anymore. Suddenly, people on the streets, teenagers, fans, even people who didn't follow fashion recognized her. That happened after that one music video, George Michael's Freedom. 90. That single video didn't just confirm her status, it made her immortal. Linda Evangelista became a cultural icon. She had the face, the talent, and the discipline. The world couldn't stop watching her. And then, as quickly as she had risen, she disappeared. For a long time, Linda Evangelista seemed to vanish from public life. No interviews, no campaigns, no surprise appearances like her peers. Naomi Campbell was still walking runways. Cindy Crawford was building her skincare empire. Claudia Schiffer was closing Versace shows. But Linda? Nothing. Not a red carpet, not a photo shoot, not even a casual paparazzi picture. Her silence was loud. Fans began to wonder, had she retired? Was she sick? No one knew the truth. The truth was that Linda wasn't resting, she was hiding. Not from fame, but from herself. In 2015, Linda underwent a cosmetic procedure called cool sculpting, a treatment designed to freeze and reduce fat cells without surgery. It was marketed as safe, easy, and quick. But for Linda, it went horribly wrong. Instead of reducing the fat, her body reacted in the opposite way. She developed a rare condition called paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, or PA. Her fat cells didn't dissolve, they multiplied, hardened, and grew. They left visible bulges that changed her body's shape and made her unrecognizable. The worst part was that the damage was permanent. "Do you see the angle of my arms?" she once asked. "I can't put them next to my body because this bulge makes them stick out." For more than 5 years, Linda lived in almost complete isolation. She avoided mirrors. She turned down work. She stopped seeing friends. She didn't go to events, even the ones that celebrated the supermodel era she had helped define. It wasn't vanity. It wasn't pride. It was the loss of identity. Her face had been her career, her connection to the world. Now, when she looked in the mirror, she didn't recognize herself. Her son even noticed the change. He used to say, "Mommy, do you remember when you used to be fun? Why don't you laugh anymore?" Linda said softly, "I hate what this has done to my relationship with him." She wasn't just grieving her appearance, she was grieving her joy. While she suffered quietly, the fashion world stayed silent. No designers reached out. No magazines offered to shoot her. The very industry she had helped build seemed to have no place for her anymore. Eventually, Linda filed a $50 million lawsuit against Cool Sculpting's parent company, claiming she had been physically disfigured, emotionally traumatized, and deprived of income. The company denied wrongdoing, insisting the treatment was safe and widely used. But for Linda, the damage, physical, emotional, and financial, was already done. What made her story even more tragic was how invisible it all was. There were no public scandals, no breakdowns, no dramatic headlines. Her fall from grace wasn't noisy, it was quiet, internal, and devastating. She hadn't been destroyed by fame itself, but by the pressure to stay perfect within it, by a culture that demands women remain ageless and flawless, then discards them when they no longer fit that image. Linda had done what so many are pushed to do, and she paid the highest price. Then, in 2022, after nearly 5 years away, Linda stepped in front of the camera again. But this time, it wasn't for Versace or Chanel, it was for herself. She appeared on the cover of British Vogue, her first major shoot since the cool sculpting ordeal. But this wasn't the glossy fantasy of the past. The images were carefully lit, her poses were deliberate, her jawline was shaped with tape and elastic, her neck partially covered. She wasn't hiding what had happened, she was controlling how it was seen. The result wasn't flawless. It was powerful. It carried the weight of survival. In her Vogue interview, Linda said, "I miss my job so much. But I can't just take jobs like I used to, not with what I look like now." Her honesty struck a chord. For decades, she had been one of the most photographed women on earth. Now she was telling the truth so many women are forced to hide, that the pursuit of beauty can leave scars that never fade. Her comeback wasn't just about fashion, it was about truth. Soon after, she appeared in a Fendi campaign celebrating 25 years of the iconic baguette bag. She stood beside Kate Moss, dressed in classic black and white. There were no filters, no flash, just presence. For the first time in years, she was visible again. Linda didn't return to prove she was flawless. She came back to prove that flaws don't erase worth. She spoke openly about depression, about aging, about how hard it is to look in the mirror when your face used to be your livelihood. The same woman who once defined beauty was now redefining it. She didn't arrive with a new look or a reinvention, she arrived with truth, courage, and quiet strength. But even after her comeback, the world didn't know everything. Behind the smiles and photographs, Linda was still fighting something far more terrifying: cancer. Just months after her return, she was diagnosed with breast cancer for the second time. She didn't tell many people. "I had a bilateral mastectomy," she told people. "I thought I was clear, but the cancer came back. I kept it quiet. I didn't want to burden anyone." Once again, she disappeared, not out of shame this time, but out of fear. Through it all, one friend never left her side, Christy Turlington. "Christy was the only one who checked on me regularly," Linda said. "She never gave up on me." In an industry where friendships often fade as fast as trends, Christy's loyalty became Linda's lifeline. When Linda finally returned to work, it wasn't to seek approval, it was to reclaim control. In 2023, she and Stephen Meisel released a book together, a visual archive of her life and art. "I wanted to be seen the way I choose to be seen," she said. "Not how they used to see me." In a world that once used her image to define beauty, Linda reclaimed it on her own terms. No runway, no makeup campaign, no apology, just truth. The first time she disappeared, fashion moved on. The second time, it listened. Because by then, everyone understood Linda Evangelista wasn't just a model. She was a mirror. A mirror for every woman who had ever been forgotten when she aged. A mirror for everyone who ever hid because they no longer felt enough. A mirror for everyone who survived something invisible. That is Linda Evangelista's true legacy, not the covers, not the runways, not the perfect photos, but the moment she stopped pretending and allowed the world to see the truth. She didn't come back to be perfect. She came back to be real. And that, more than anything, is the most powerful image of all.